And hi there, this is Big V here in Portland, Oregon. And I just want to tell you, you've seen the title says corruption may be going away in the Neothink society. Well, that is absolutely true. Maybe the start of the corruption has started to go away. But there's so much more in the society. They may teach honesty, but are they being honest when they're mentoring? Due to the tragedy of a death of a mentor in the Neothink Society, here's my question now. What kind of mentoring is the Neothink Society going to have in 2019? Is it going to be reading? Is that what we're going to get from mentoring now? There may be a lot of things I may have disagreed with Mr. Steve Fagan, but his mentoring always kept me coming back. I didn't ever take notes on anything because most of it was just pure entertainment to me because it wasn't out of sincerity. But nonetheless, it is Friday evening and I want to record the Mark Hamilton family and you. Now, understand Steve Fagan will not be hosting these calls no longer. It will be Charlie Moore that's doing these. So we'll see how this call goes, and then we'll see down the road how much more recordings I will be doing of these calls. I'll be honest with everyone. I don't like what I sense and what's going to happen with the Neothink Society. I'll be flat out honest with you. I don't like the chances of the Neothink survival right now. We'll see what happens in 2019. I have real concerns in the Neothink Society, and I'll bring one of my concerns up. Mr. Steve Fagan was the voice of Mark Hamilton. And for a lot of you, many of you heard him say that, and he was the voice for Mark Hamilton. And if you ask me, he was a very good voice for Mr. Mark Hamilton at best. There's no one else in the society that I see fit or qualified to be in that position right now. Let me also share something else. I think the calls at some point in 2019 will hit rock bottom if the mentors are not careful. And let me say this to Mark Hamilton. I want to say thank you, Mark Hamilton, for your literature. Thank you for your father's literature. Thank you for basically a new start in life. I have nothing against you, Mark Hamilton. Nothing against you. Now, it's a freedom of speech, so I'm going to say what I feel. Mark Hamilton, please be cautious as to who you pick for the next voice for you in the Neothink Society. Be cautious. Be careful. Because the person you pick, the whole society could diminish over the person you pick. It could, or it could not. Or, at best, the numbers will drop dramatically. We'll have to see what Mark Hamilton does. It is his society. He can do whatever he sees fit to do. At this time, we're going to go to the Friday night Mark Hamilton Family and You call. And we're going to see if there's any other further information about Mr. Steve Fagan and his passing away on this past Monday night and going into Tuesday possibly. And we're going to find out if there's any further information about this. By the way, I just want to say, Steve Fagan, I appreciated your mentoring. Me and you never saw eye to eye. I think you got irritated with me. I think you've gotten mad with me, but you never told me. Mr. Steve Fagan blackballed me from the calls. Last night, on Thursday night, December 20th, I raised my hand and my hand was not acknowledged. So Steve Fagan and Charlie Moore have blackballed me from their calls. And I'm gonna put it out there publicly, unless they tell me something different. But they're gonna have to do it publicly. Steve Fagan, I appreciate you for allowing me to be me. Thank you for allowing me to be able to express myself on some of the Neothink calls. 12 Visions Party call back in the day. On other calls Tuesday night. Thank you for allowing me to be able to express myself. I appreciate it a lot. And Mr. Steve Fagan, you will be missed. You will be missed in the society. Ever since you're going away, Mr. Steve Fagan, it put real red flags in my mind about the society now. It's put a major concern down in my gut, down in my heart, down in my soul. On the other hand, maybe the corruption is going to start disappearing now. Maybe the real stories will begin to be told. Maybe. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see whether the real corruption is gone, or the source of it, or is there more? My gut feeling tells me there's more corruption in the Neothink society than what's been told. So that's just my opinion. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I hope to God I am. I hope to God I am totally wrong in my viewpoints. I hope that, now, ladies and gentlemen, let me make a comment here about the 12 Visions Party. My views, since I've heard about Mr. Steve Fagan's passing away, is on a teeter-totter, and I'm not sure what way to swing with it right now. I don't think the 12 Visions Party will get started in 2019, and I don't think they will have enough support for the 12 Visions Party in the Neothink Society, because they can't even pull 300 members of its own to back the party up. Steve Fagan had a goal for the Neothink members. If you guys remembered, Steve Fagan had a goal. And I want to bring this up, and this is what I wanted to bring up on Thursday, December 20th of 2018, but Charlie Moore refused to take my hand. Steve Fagan had a goal, and that's called gelling the society together, bringing the society together again, trying to get the society to be put together. Steve Fagan, I don't believe in his heart he wanted the society to have a split. There is a split in the society. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, in my opinion, I don't think it's good. But on the other hand, maybe it was for the best. I don't know. We'll see what happens in 2019 with the Neothink Society and the teleconference calls, and what is going to come down to with the 12 Visions Party in 2019. I am skeptical with the 12 Visions Party right now. We got some of the corruption out but there's a lot more corruption with the 12 Visions Party that needs to be taken out, and taken out for good. I'm not saying that death is what I'm wishing for, but the corruption can go at any time with the 12 Visions Party. I want the 12 Visions Party to be pure, upfront, and pure honest with everything. Everything. I want the 12 Visions Party to be pure, upfront, and honest about all facts. Everything. No hidden agendas. Just tell it like it is. And by the way, before we go to the Mark Hamilton family and you call, the 12 Visions Party has a 12 Visions Party contract. Now, every mentor does a class, or was doing a class at one time, on one of Mark Hamilton's books, on one of his manuscripts, and some of them still are. But no mentor in the society has ever taken that TVP contract and did anything with that TVP contract on any of the calls as I speak. No one has ever done a full, complete class on the 12 Visions Party contract. By the way, I encourage people not to sign that TVP contract, which is the 12 Visions Party contract. I encourage you not to sign it until they actually do a full-blown class on it and expose everything that's needing to be exposed. But question everything that the mentor that does do the class, you question them up their butts. You understand what I'm saying? You question everything they say and listen to their motives. Listen to their motives. Lately, I've been listening to the motives of the society. Now, let me say something. Today is December 21st. It's Friday night. I just got off work. And earlier today, I spoke with someone. I'm not mentioning names, but this person had bitter feelings with the way they were talking. They weren't mad, but they had true bitter feelings. I listened to them. I wasn't rude. I let them spill their guts because that's what they thought they needed to do with me. They didn't like the idea that I was live streaming these calls. Isn't that something? They didn't like the idea that I was live streaming the Neothink calls, sharing the Neothink information to the general public. Well, we're going to go to the call now, and I'm going to expose some more. But hopefully the corruption completely goes away with the 12 Visions Party. As I told this person, I'm not against the prime law. I'm not against the prime law at all. I told this person I respect all members of the Neothink Society, period. So I don't give phone numbers and access codes out to anyone when I do these recordings. These recordings are replayed on a program that I do on social media, and then they're deleted. So they don't stay up forever. By the way, the title of the recent calls was 12 Visions Party Scam or 12 Visions Party Money Scam. And now every week will be different with the titles of these calls, but I will insert in this video what call I am live streaming. So we're going to go to the call right now. I got everything I wanted to say out of the way. It's Friday night. It's about 11 o'clock at night. So we're going to go to the Friday night call here. Hold on just a second. By the way, I want to say thank you for listening to what I have to say. I would have said it whether you wanted me to say it or not. So let me dial in the number and we'll get started.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound. Please wait. Please enter the reference number followed by the pound key. Enter the pound key to listen to the most recent. Please wait while we prepare your file. Press 6. Fast forward.
We're starting in a minute.
Here we go. Enjoy.
And I don't have too much more update than I had on the call for last night. And but for those who normally come to the Frank R. Wallace call on Thursday, the whole call last night was about Steve. And that call is usually an hour, as you know. And for me to get all the people who raised their hands to talk about Steve, it took us 2 hours and 20 minutes last night. We had almost 300 people on the call, and a lot of them raised their hands. So the call is extremely long. But it's, you know, that's how much he meant to everybody here. So I know some people on here knew already, and I also know that some of you don't know yet until just now. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's been a tough couple of days for all of us. It was a shock to find out, because he sounded so good on Monday night when he was on the call Monday night. He sounded absolutely fantastic, and he was feeling great, and everything was going well, and he went to meet his grandkid on Wednesday, and he never made it. And I don't have any more. I was hoping to hear from the Sons today. We all assume it was a heart attack because she did have a bad heart, but we don't know for sure yet because the autopsy, I guess, wasn't finished. It was postponed till today. And maybe it's not, I don't know. So anyway, I haven't heard from anybody today about how he died. And I don't know anything about any services yet either. So I will try and get that word out as soon as I hear something. Because I'm not sure. I don't think any of us is going to hear before I will, because I talked to his sons yesterday and Wednesday. It's a shock to all of us. He was... The only reason that I'm on this call is because of Steve Fagan. I don't think I would have stayed here 10 and a half years ago if I didn't meet Steve after that first year. That's how much of an impact he had on me. He saw things in me that I didn't know I had at the time, and he's a great mentor. He's a great friend. I just miss talking to him every day because we talk at least 6 days a week, and we would talk at least every day that we had a call. So tonight when I was preparing for this call, I was ready to dial the phone and say, hey, Steve, what do you have so we can go over this? And, obviously I couldn't do that anymore. So it's a little strange doing it. It's not strange doing this by myself. It's just strange doing it without him because of the reason why he's not here. I'm not sure how much I want to spend on that because we did spend over 2 hours last night. And the people who were here last night, so I'm torn here how much. If you didn't know that he died, so just now, if you have anything to say, just hit *6 and just give us a couple minutes. Don't go into it. Because I don't want to spend the whole night on this because I think it's time for us to start moving forward on this also. So if you were not on the call last night and you didn't know, then just raise your hand if you want and just give a brief minute or two about what he meant to you. And if nobody does, that's fine too, and then we can go right into the call. I'll just leave that up to you in the beginning here. I'm not sure how to handle this. This is so overwhelming for all of us to handle, especially if we just found out. Let me go to 0086.
I was in love with Steve as a mentor and as a person. I thought he was the greatest person that I'd met in years, and I've never met him I've never been able to shake his hand because I've never had the money to put together and come to the meetings. Yeah, and all the places you had, Vegas and New Jersey. I've never been able to do that. I kind of wish. I thought he was sick because he was coughing all the time. It may have been a residual from his pneumonia, but I don't know. I know I'm going to miss him not as much as you do.
Oh, by the way,
will miss him
I got to
because,
meet Mr. Steve Fagan
meant a lot
back
to
in
me, and he
2010.
taught me a lot.
He gave me a big, great bear
Just
hug.
how to read these
So I got to meet Steve Fagan,
How do
Jill
I-
Reed,
how do we contact them? Is there
and
contact
Rick
the
Mabe,
family? Is
and
a way to
and Tom
send
Carey was there as well. So I got to meet some of these people in New Jersey on March 20th. So I got to meet Mr. Steve Fagan, Steve Rapella, and I got to hear a message from Mark Hamilton himself. So I'm just going to put it out there.
Charlie 5.
Yeah, I've got it, Charlie.
Yeah, just put in the title of the email. Put in like condolences or something, and I'll just put all of this together and I'll get them out to the family.
All right, thank you.
Right. Thank you. Let's go to 7198.
Here's the book I bought
Here.
in New
Hello?
Jersey.
Hello.
Is
Yes, go
that,
ahead.
are you talking to me, Charlie?
Yes.
That's my ex-wife.
Okay, this is Vi, Mrs.
This is the book I bought for $20
I'm
in New
just
Jersey
shocked.
back
Really,
in 2010.
I'm really
March
shocked because
20th.
I didn't know that he passed. Because I haven't heard his voice on Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about it until this minute, at this moment. And I always want to hear his voice talk because he has a very good, like a person that I wanted to ask him a question. Why can't he just do the, the radio program like Rush Limbaugh and all the other stuff? Because he has such a good voice. And you guys can join in together and explain about, what do you call the 12 Vision Party. I could never understand that, and I always want the two of you to open the radio talk thing so people can call in and understand, get more information about. But I can never get in because there's always somebody ahead of me, and I have a sick husband that I cannot stay in the line too long. But I am really, really sorry. Really. I mean, I'm crying right now because I'm going to miss him. I really do. And I'm going to miss you and him together. All right?
Yeah,
I'm going to let somebody... Yeah, I'm going to miss both of you together because you have a good rapport with each other. And sometimes I cannot get through the program because I have family illness or my husband, so that's the reason why I miss some of the calls sometimes. But I better let somebody talk. I don't want to be selfish and continue, but I'm really sorry. I really do. All right.
you.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'll take one or two more. That's going to be it, I think. 3237.
Hi, guys. It's William of South Carolina.
Hey, William.
I'm very sorry to hear about Steve. I was on the call last night, but my battery died before I could hit my star two, so I had to hang up.
Oh, okay.
But I met Steve for the first time in 16 at the summit, and then again in 17. And I've been trying to get on all of his calls ever since I could get on one of them.
Yeah.
And I think he was one of the best mentors on the calls. And I'm going to miss him very much. He has helped me a whole lot.
Yeah, he has touched us all. It was about him that, he touched your soul at points, and a lot of people have said over the last couple of days, every time he talked on the phone, it was like he was talking to me personally. And he had that way about it. And he just took me under his wing in the beginning, and he taught me a lot. And as I said, I wouldn't be here without him. There was just no way I would have done all this by myself. Because it's hard to do. But I was, basically, I just consider myself very lucky to have met him after that first year when I didn't talk to anybody. And when I went to his clubhouse, as many of you know, that was the day that changed my life with Neothink. I knew that I found the right place, and I knew I found the right people there to help me move forward. And then, as they said, the rest is history. We became friends immediately, and he's been my best friend for the last 8-9 years. And, but that's how he touched everybody. He touched everybody the same way that he touched me. And he had that incredible knack of doing that. And he had the confidence to do it, and he studied these pages like I did, and we were always on the same page with about 98% of the things that we talked about. We just came to the conclusion that whatever I believed in, he did, and what he did, I did, and it wasn't because we were following each other. It's just that we had their same thoughts. So thank you, William.
Well, I thank you. And I thank Steve, too.
Yes. I'm sure he's on this call tonight. He's here. And I can feel his presence like I have for the last couple of days.
I hope so.
Yes, I
Thank
think we
you.
also feel him. Let's go to 5784. Unmute.
Yes, hello. This is Afyon Okwa. I've never been able to call in, but the news is a big shock to me. Steve was a great mentor, and we're all going to miss him very much. I know, because I missed him last Tuesday when I didn't hear his voice, and I didn't know. I just heard of it. I'm very, very sorry for what has happened. I thank you very much for letting us know this.
Yeah, well,
I can't say anymore.
Yeah, because on Tuesday night.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Yes.
on Tuesday, I had to do the call because he never called or anything, and I didn't know at that point what happened. So, yeah. So, but anyway, thank you. Let's go to 0476.
Charlie, it's Carol Paul out in Louisiana.
Hello.
I just tuned in late, and I don't know what happened to Steve.
We don't know yet, but it seemed like we're all guessing he had a heart attack.
Oh, I am so sorry. He's a great mentor. I mean, one of the best speakers. I mean, he taught so well, and you and he both worked so good together. You always come up with something that he didn't quite hit on. And I just thought you made great mentors together.
I was taught well, and we just worked well together. We've been doing this for such a long time. We know what each other's going to say, basically, at this point. So
yeah, you could just about put words in each other's mouth, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry.
Well,
so
thank you.
When will you know what happened to him?
Hopefully, I was hoping I would hear something today from his sons, but I didn't. So I assume maybe tomorrow I'll hear something. And obviously, the next time I can get a chance to get it out to at least more than one person at a time will be on the call Sunday night. But if not, Monday night, Tuesday, whatever updates I can find in the meantime, I will get it out there somehow. All right, but thank you.
Thank you so very much, Charlie.
Okay. Every time I think we have the last call, then another one pops up. 4950.
Hello, Charlie.
Hello.
This is Rosa from Arizona. I came in a little late, I just heard the news. If there's anything that I can do, please let me know.
Okay.
Steve has been one of the greatest forces, and you also, for me being where I am today in Neothink Society. The patience, the talk after talk, and when I needed my talking to, I got it. And for that, I appreciate both of you with all my heart. And please let me know if there's anything I can do, Charlie. And my regards to the family and to Steve. And hopefully I'll be doing my spiritual counseling and talking if he goes ahead and I know he's going to make it. I know he's going to do okay. That's how serious I am about this. Please let me know if there's anything we can do, Jim or I. Okay?
Thank you, Roseanne.
You're welcome, Charlie.
And let's finish up with John Price. Go ahead, John.
Hi. I was still kind of shocked. So last night, well, a few years ago when Steve became the digger, about a week after that, I kind of honored him and became the rebel. And it was sort of, kind of honored him after that. So, well, since Digger is gone, I'm retiring the name Rebel and just going by John. And still a shock. And we were really looking forward to doing that call on Tuesday night together. So,
yeah, he was. Yeah. Well, thank you, John.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me just go over. I'm probably going to make what I'm doing tonight into a two-part series, Trish, because I have a lot of information on this, and some of it's in the book and some of it's not in the book, basically. I noticed Steve started talking about the dirty little secret, and I want to cover basically that again in a brief scenario, and then start taking some real-life things that's the dirty little secret out there. This will be a good presentation for putting puzzle pieces together. And so that we can we have to become more aware of our surroundings, our own thoughts, our own actions, seeing through the illusions out there, which is everywhere, because there's nothing really honest coming out of the AC world, and everything is an illusion. You just got to look for it, because that's just the way it is anymore. But basically, I just want to cover right now is what Paco Wallace meant by, what Mark Hamilton thought about what was the very little secret. I'm going to read it right out of the book. The easiest and fastest way to rise to attention, power, and popularity is to tear down someone or something of value. The very little secret is the greater the value, then the greater the opportunity for someone such as a politician or a journalist or a bureaucrat or an activist or a blogger, a lawyer, or a flamer to attack that value, flame it, tear it down for a quick attention, power, and popularity. So anybody, it's like the bully who would embarrass somebody in public by either beating him up physically or just calling him names or whatever. That's basically what the dirty little secret is. And that's what obviously our government does all the time. And they do it by fear, and they do it by all these crazy laws that they pass so that we get punished for everything. Basically, they have bullied us into submission. So that's why most people would just follow, because they have the fear, and they're not really truly aware that they have so much power in themselves. And they're really putting that onto us now, to where the world is actually going downhill everywhere all the time. And that's not just saying it. I saw an article today, in fact. It's amazing. I get these articles in the mail, and I've said this a lot lately. I get these articles in the mail, on the email, and I read them because I follow certain people out there who I found to be very honest and very open. And it usually, and a lot of times, that one that comes out like either yesterday or today fits what we're going to talk about that night. And this one came out today, and I didn't even read the whole article yet because it's very detailed and long, but I got the gist of it. And going to cover part of that tonight, I think. Well, maybe I can finish it. I don't know. We've got time yet. But I want to go into, like if you look at in the past here, some of the famous people over the centuries who were just punished because they had great ideas, and that they were coming up like the value creators, like Darwin, Da Vinci, Copernicus, Frank R. Wallace, got torn down. Donald Trump did because he was a businessman, and all they wanted to talk about was that he filed bankruptcy 3 or 4 times. But they didn't say that he created all these different businesses and all these thousands and thousands of people had jobs. You know, so it's those people over the centuries that have always been prosecuted because they had an idea, because it was something that could help humanity. And that's just not allowed here. So, and they constantly do it, and they do it more and more today. And a lot of times we don't hear about it, we don't know about it, but it happens every day. It probably happened, you know, I mean, we can make it very personal here and say, who has prosecuted you a lot since you joined Neothink? Family and friends? Sometimes can be our worst enemy, unfortunately, because they see us believing in something totally different, and they think it's a scam. You know, because they don't understand what you're reading. They haven't picked up a book and read a sentence. And if you're not showing them by example, and that's the key here, once we start to understand this information, family and friends will see a difference in you. And then they'll start maybe listening more about it, or maybe they'll ask you questions about it because they see a difference. And I went through that when I first joined. The lady that I was with then, it wasn't that she was against it because she didn't know anything about it. She just thought it was just different. So if it's different, it has to be bad. But she never said that she was going to leave or anything if I stayed with her. She just didn't support it. But my 2 sons over the years, you know, I don't see them that much, but when I do, they see a difference. And I was starting to listen a little more about what I'm into. But I know a lot of, I have no friends left from the AC world because I don't have anything in common with them anymore. And they never went to get into it, and I don't push it on anybody. So we do have to look at that aspect too. Of the people hate to see people move forward. They want to latch onto the ankle as you're climbing up the ladder and just pull you down because they don't have the guts or anything to do something different and to be themselves. And so after a while, if people pull us down long enough, we'll stay down. Because it's just so hard to, you know, this is very hard to do, Neothink, because we're going against the grain on everything. Everything that the AC world has to offer us, it's not of value. It's not in our best interest, and we are bringing that to light, and they don't want that to happen. So that's what the dirty little secret does. Then Mark talks about Robin Hood, and we all are familiar with Robin Hood, about taking back our power and giving it back to people. And that's something that they don't do. Obviously, they take our power and then they don't give us back anything. So we have to be like the Robin Hood Society here. But we have to let people know that's what we are doing, basically, is that we are taking our power back, you know. And basically, how do we do that? Obviously, we do it by business. And they think since we're selling, you know, basically they think that Neothink is a scam because we're charging for the books. And how can anything be good for people to have to pay for it? You know, it should be free. That's a bunch of hoopla there. It's just not the way it's supposed to work. Because if a business does not charge for a value, then the value cannot and will not exist. You don't just get goods for free. And if you think business is not the way out of this, if you drive through any small town, you hit Main Street, USA, all right? You go to a small town, A medium-sized town doesn't matter, and they got a main street somewhere, a downtown district. And you can tell how that town is going just by looking at downtown. If the buildings are half empty, empty and there's no business there, then you know that that area is not doing well. You can tell any town how it's going by just looking at their downtown area. Look at the business area. Is it flourishing? Are there a lot of people there going into shops and buying goods? That's a town that you want to live in. But if half the stores are closed and the other half is barely making it, it's not good. But people don't look at things rationally anymore. We aren't looking at what's good for us. All we're saying is that, well, these people can't do that. And the perfect example today that we are being brainwashed on is this border. Closing the border. Trump wants to build a wall, and they're calling him crazy. They're calling him this, and they're planning on shutting down the government because he wants the wall up. But if people would look, and just look at the logic, that's all. I'm not saying Trump's the greatest. But just why he wants to close the wall as opposed to why they want to keep it open. And let's just go back to Europe. And let's look what Europe has done over the last 10, 20 years. They opened up the borders, okay? And this was this silent invasion. And these Muslims came over the borders and they settled from England to Germany, all throughout Europe. Italy, Spain, France. And look how many terror attacks were over there. And they're losing their country or countries because these people aren't assimilating into that society. And they're separate. So they have these, when I was in Paris, and this is back in 1999, there was a whole section of Paris that was Muslim. And the police wouldn't even go in there because they didn't want anything to do with anybody, and that breeds terrorism. So Europe has all these terrorist attacks. They're all struggling because they're giving these people money, and their economies are bad. They're in debt up to their necks, and nothing's working. And the citizens there are getting very tired of it. That's why you think they're doing all these things in France right now with the yellow jacket people. They're just had enough. That's all. They had enough. So what do we do over here? Well, let's keep the borders open. Let's pay these people to come here. Let's give them everything that we have. But they don't need to be checked. So right there we're getting all the bad people coming out. It's a mess, and we're going to lose our country. That's what they're trying to do here. The globalists are trying to take over everything. And I'll get into, I can still get into some of this. I just don't want to take it and then not be able to have a good stop this week and then finish it up next week. But it's so obvious of what's going on, but yet people don't put the pieces together. And that's the problem here. We aren't thinking. We are just following. So why aren't we learning from what Europe did? Because they don't put it out there. The news doesn't hit us. All they want to do is show the bad side. They aren't showing things that are happening in this world. They don't want you to know these things. So we are being censored, and we're being censored every day. Every day we're being censored. And there's more websites on Facebook and Google, and Pinterest now is also doing it. And the other ones too, I can't even think of them right now. Twitter also. They are throwing sites off. They are saying that these sites are going against their policies, and it's a bunch of BS. But we are losing. If you're a right-wing organization, if you're just a conservative, if you want to find out the honesty of what's going on in this world, you can't find that on the internet. You can't find it on the news on TV. You can't find it anywhere. We are being censored. What's our First Amendment? Freedom of speech. And they're stomping on that like it's nothing. That's the dirty little secret that's going on out there. Nothing will exist for us. They basically, and this is the part where a lot of people don't really get into it, or they don't want to face this truth. They want to depopulate this whole world. They want to kill us. They want to get it down to now the New York Times the other day had this article that said the world would be better off if there was no people. Imagine that. the world would be better off with no people. Now, if we stay in this left-wing mentality, and this AC mentality, that's true. Because whatever this AC world is doing today, and if it doesn't change, in 20 or 30 years, most of us will be dead. Because of pollution, and because of no food, and because of this, and because of that, and they'll poison us, and all these things, and that's what they're planning on doing. And nobody wants to really say it. Well, this article that I saw today is saying it, and he has 12 reasons of, 12 pieces of the puzzle that nobody put together. I have, basically, not the 12 that he has, but if I had come up with 12, I would have came up with at least 10 of the ones that he has. This is all a plot, and it's a real thing. It's not just some conspiracy theory anymore. They want us dead. It's too hard to control 7 billion people. Now, at first, when this theory came out years ago, they said that they wanted, somebody knew somebody else who was quoted saying that the elite basically want to get it down to about 500 million people, because that's what they would need as servants and slaves to keep their lifestyle going. And this is how sick this world is. So now they're actually talking about, let me start going into these 12 reasons, and I'm going to try and cover as much as I can without getting into detail on some of them. But he says, taken one at a time, the events unfolding across our world seem unconnected, insane, or random. However, there is an overarching pattern to everything that you're witnessing and experiencing. This pattern exists because there is intention to deploy world events, culture trends, economic control, and political obedience to achieve a desired aim. And he goes and he talks about that, but then he says basically, if you read any of this and find it too uncomfortable, you can always tell yourself it's nothing but science fiction, via the Matrix. Don't worry about it. As soon as you step outside the door, you will start feeling better. You remember, you don't believe in any of this fake, you don't believe in any of this fake crap. You're in control of your own life, remember? Here, take a cookie. I promise by the time you're done eating it, you'll feel right as rain. And I remember that from the Matrix. He says, so let's begin by considering the global convergence of the following 12 events and trends. His first one is the desperate effort by globalists to end all national sovereignty, erase all borders, and flood the world with wealthy nations with third world migrants and violent criminals who can't help but vote for authoritative tyranny, which not coincidentally is exactly, that's what they're fleeing from their home countries. All right? They want the freedom of this country to go away. They want to flood us with migrants, violent criminals who will take us down so that they can come in and have that one world order. All right, this globalist people who just want to tear down borders and let people go where they want, which is an idea that we have for the future in the civilization of the universe. No governments, no borders. But they want to do it this way to take down all of these countries who believe in freedom. So that's the first step. And that's why they're going to shut down the government here, because Trump wants to put up a wall. The Democrats don't want the wall. They want these people to flood in here so that they can have this socialist government that nobody can afford. The second one, an aggressive ramping up of efforts to disarm all law-abiding citizens while gaining legal immunity to violent illegals. Why would a rational society want to take guns away from those who use guns to prevent violence, all while granting legal immunity to the criminal class that uses guns to commit violence? I mean, this whole thing about disarming us, I don't think it'll start a civil war here, because I cannot picture, the gun owners in this country don't really kill that many people with the gun. Most of the people who get murdered out there are people with illegal guns that they stole, whatever. They're the ones that are killing most of these people. In any of these mass shootings, was any of these people rational? Of course not. But they got guns. Most of them, they weren't legal. Some of them, it was legal. But it's not the guns that are killing people. It's just these crazies that are being crazed by politicians and the elite. I can't push them ever taking our guns away because they would be losing lives all over the place. People will start to protect themselves and start shooting these, if it's soldiers or cops who are coming in to take away the guns. It's not in our Constitution. The only reason that we still have a free country here, as far as what we call free today, is a lot different than what we say 20 or 30 years ago. The only reason why we are not a socialist country today and a country under tyranny all the way is because we have guns. That's our only protection against the government. That's why the Second Amendment was put in there. It wasn't put in there to go hunting. It was put in there to protect citizens from a government of tyranny. But they want you to believe that, well, it's an old amendment because it was written 200 and some years ago, and it was mainly for the people out in the country how to shoot deer or food to eat. But that wasn't the reason why it was put in. It was put in because it kept us protected from the guns. The only reason the United States is still the United States is that they can't get the guns away from us, and they're going to try now to do more because they have control of the House. It's putting more laws in. That's just going to make it harder and harder to get guns. And do you realize in the 8 years of Obama, there was never more guns sold in the 8-year period in this country? We should have had stock in these gun companies because more guns were sold. Every time we tried to do something about the guns, more people would go out and buy them. But I think we all need them now for protection. And I'm thinking about buying one. And I never in my life thought about buying a gun before. All right? The third one, the blowout economics of endless money creation. Not combined with the sudden squashing of debt leverage by raising interest rates among central banks, the combined effort to first create easy money, then to slam the brakes and collapse, and then they slam the banks with the brakes and they collapse that easy money. It's not an accident. It has a specific purpose. When the government said that everybody should have a house, everybody should own a house, and all the mortgage companies and the banks that gave money away, you didn't have to qualify. You just had to go in and fill out a form and you got $500,000 to buy a house. And people, this is great. It's low interest rates to start out, and they had no idea that those rates were going to go up in price. The banks didn't care. They were just giving money away. And then all of a sudden, we got to bail out the banks. And, so now you own a house, or you're living in this house, and you have a $500,000 mortgage on it, and now the house is worth $300,000. And that's what they're doing again. And then they flooded the money in the country. They just printed up money. Trillions of dollars they printed up, and it was out there. So the value of a dollar goes down, and we have this fake money. And now you see what the Fed's doing. They're starting to raise the rates again. And look what happened to the stock market again this week because they raised the rate. You have to understand, too, that the Federal Reserve Bank is broke. They have no money left. It's never happened before in the history of the Federal Reserve. They can't bail out anybody at this point because they need to be bailed out. That's how bad. And every time that they raise their rates now, the stock market crashes again. This goes down, that goes down. That's what they're doing. They're trying economically to just blow us out of the water. It's all planned. This is not a coincidence. This is not just like a freak thing here. This is specifically planned to bring down this country. And Trump's the only one here right now who can stop this craziness. And they're fighting him at every step of the way as usual. I just saw the headlines of the New York Times today at the grocery store, and they're just slamming Trump because he wants to build this crazy wall. We don't need a wall. Yes, we do need a wall. And we need to have some law and order, but we don't have any of that either. Number 4, the terraforming of planet Earth with stratospheric aerosol injections, basically the chemtrails, that mainstream scientists now admit is a form of geoengineering designed to alter the chemistry of the atmosphere and reduce the intensity of solar radiation reaching the surface of the Earth. Importantly, this action, which also could collapse, would also collapse global food production and sharply reduce the level of oxygen in the atmosphere, making this planet increasingly inhospitable to humans. what have they been telling? First it was climate, whatever they used to call it, and now it's global warming, all right? What these chemtrails are doing, and they want to increase this by 4,000% or something to do it more. And they're going against science. CO2. Oh, it's too much CO2 emissions out there from cars and factories, blah, 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 blah. They go on and on and on. Well, guess what happens if we don't have CO2 in the air? We die. What happens if there isn't enough CO2? Plants can't grow. Trees can't grow. Nothing can grow. And yet, they want to put so much chemtrails in the air that the sun can't penetrate the earth. So what's going to happen to the food supply? What's going to happen to the oxygen in the air? We'll all die. But that's okay because we're going to save the planet. The planet doesn't need to be saved. Millions of years ago, like I forget what the CO2 level is now in this country. It's like they have a scale, and I think the last time I looked, we're about 400 on this scale. And millions of years ago, the scale was up to 2,000 or more of CO2, and yet there was life. There was more than life. Our CO2 level has risen on this planet, and guess what? There's more farmland now. The crops are growing bigger and better because it warms the whole continent a little bit, but it gives us more farming to feed the population. They want to cut all that back. And then where do we go from there? When the sun can't penetrate the earth anymore and we have no more CO2 in the air. CO2 is a good thing. People just do your science. You know, what was it, 7th, 8th grade with photosynthesis about the plants giving out CO2 in the air? It's good. It's not an evil thing. But that's what they have done. They have turned all that basically into another lie. So that's the dirty little secret. That's what they're doing constantly on us, is this dirty little secret. Number 5, the increasing talk by leaders and thought leaders about escaping Earth and colonizing Mars, presumably because they believe Earth will not survive as a planet for much longer that we can live on. Yes, we just landed another thing on Mars. Elon Musk is having that, I think in 2024 he's going to send people to Mars. They're going there not for science. That's what they're saying they're going there for. They're going there to colonize it because they don't think that the Earth is going to survive because of all the things that we're doing on this planet. This all sounds like this big conspiracy theory, but if you put all these pieces together, these are all the pieces that are going to happen here to kill us. They don't want us here. This is how crazy this whole thing is. Number 6, the rapid acceleration of cultural attacks on fertility, masculinity, and male biology. Almost as if everyone has been ordered to declare sperm to be evil and children to be toxic to the world. Canadian government, for example, has recently declared that giving birth to a living human child is a threat to the sustainability of the planet. Let me read that again, just so you don't get confused here, all right? Canadian government, for example, has recently declared that giving birth to a living human child is a threat to the sustainability of the planet. The LGBT agenda to erase the concept of male biology and rewrite biological science is also part of this effort. If you look at this from a couple different angles, I'm not going into all of them. Believe me, I have read these things over and over, and it's in fact, it feels good to get this out. It really does, because this is what's going on. You take these transsexual people, all right? Now, up until 3-4 years ago, how many times do we ever hear of the word transsexual? How many times do we hear about people who are transsexual? Rarely ever. Unless I was living in a cave, and I don't live in a cave, but I rarely heard about these people. I used to work with one years ago, but they were so far and that was when I ever met in my life until recently. And then all of a sudden, within 3 or 4 years, there's millions of them out there. They get all this funding, and who's funding this, all right? People like George Soros is funding this. The left is funding it to get all these people to be recognized, to get all this funding for them, and you can't do this and you can't do that. They want it. They don't want males around. How can you not have a male and a female? But yet that's what they're teaching these kids. That you don't have to declare that you're a man or a woman. And to show how obscene all this is, Celine Dion, whatever her name is, the singer, Celine Dion, she came out with a clothing line for transgenders, okay? And she's very supportive of transgenders because they need their rights too. Now, this is how hypocritical they are. You get to the end of her article, and she has a big video that's basically saying if you're a teenage boy or a girl, you're wrong. And then at the end, she has sizes for these clothes that you can buy, and she has the sizes for boys and for girls. Now wait a minute. If you're talking about transgenders, they're not either, but yet her sizes were for boys or girls. That's how hypocritical and stupid these people are. And I can go more and more on this, but I'll stop there. The global installation of 5G cell towers. They have the capacity to track a specific human target while subjecting entire cities of human population to high energy radiation that causes brain tumors. They can track us anywhere. 5G is absolutely fantastic for the technology. It's blowing away. It's so far better than 4G. Computers will be 1,000 times faster. It'll change technology in this world for the better. Okay? But it's going to kill us all. These towers have to be closer together than the 4G. The 5G cell towers, they don't send out the signal as far. So you have to have them closer together. And the more of them on this planet, we're going to get killed with radiation. It's so much worse than the phone I'm talking on now, which I always have on speakerphone to keep it away from my head as far as possible. Because all of these phones, radiation is going into us. From our tablets, from our computers, from the TV, but this 5G is going to be so much worse. People are out there trying to tell people how bad it is, but all you hear about is how good it is. And it is. I mean, the technology alone is fantastic, but it's going to kill us at a much quicker pace. Because these cell towers are going to be everywhere, and they're not that far apart. Like now, they could be like miles apart. They're going to only be like a couple hundred feet apart. You know, and they're spending probably trillions of dollars on this because they're going to make whatever the number is after trillions on this. I mean, so they have so much in Europe. They've had them over there, and people are protesting left and right. Firemen are getting sick because there's a tower right in front of the firehouse. They have them for the street lights, and all the pregnant women in this one area either had a miscarriage or they had a deformed baby. I mean, it's just really serious stuff. And I was watching a recording of this one lady who was going to talk in front of some Senate committee or some committee about this 5G. And she sits down and they welcome her, and he says, "You have 5 minutes." And she says, "Oh, I thought I had 30 minutes. So then she had to quick do this 30-minute presentation in 5 minutes. And they kept it to exactly 5 minutes because they didn't want to hear it. Because they're getting paid off by these companies. So that's another way that they're coming after us. Number 8, and I'm going to go through 8, 9, and 10 really quick because I realize we're running out of time, and then we'll finish up with this next week. The complete transformation of the food supply. And they are killing us with this food supply. And it's awful. The poisons in them, the GMOs in them, and the sludge. There's a whole other article about the sludge in this country coming from waste, and they're putting it onto the fields that they are growing our food. And the sludge has all kind of chemicals in it. It's just absolutely awful. So the food's going to be killing us. Number 9, and this is the biggie here, the ultimate or the utter collapse of logic, reason, and rationality. We have been talking about that for years. We are nothing here but logic, reason, and rationality. And there's none of that out there. And our kids today are being taught nothing about that. In fact, to the point that where nearly half of the population of America's youth now believe that men can get pregnant and that chromosomes have nothing to do with gender. The very ability of mankind to reason is under control, attack, and now it's all but obsolete now. I mean, this is crazy. Over half the teenagers today think that a man can get pregnant, and chromosomes have nothing to do with sex. They're not even teaching them basic science anymore, our kids. This is craziness. And then the increasing celebration of Satan and death. And that's including Planned Parenthood, abortion centers, and Satan worship religious movements. Even the Vatican is now led by an agent of Satan, and numerous churches have been transferred into anti-Christian, pro-globalism obedience training centers. Number 11, the increasing concentration of all power and influence into the hands of a few. In other words, the elite are going for everything. They just want to grab everything that they can do. And now, every single thing that people of the world now see, think, believe, or consume is controlled by a shockingly small number of companies and individuals who rule through deception and all these other practices that goes against us. And 12, the sense of panic and urgency among globalists to defeat nationalism, free thinking, and individual liberty, almost as if they are in a race to enslave the population of this planet before some ominous looming deadline. All right, so, and then he goes on and on and on, but that was just the 12 things there, and that's basically, I think, probably the 12 most important. But at the end, all right, to give you some hope out there, all right, because I have to read this whole article. It's fascinating but scary. And then at the end he says, where is it at here? All right, the last chance, how humanity might be able to save itself. All right, and he has two things here. And his first one is, in order to save ourselves, we must do two things. Defeat the globalists who now control all information, speech, thoughts, money, news, facts, medicine, technology, education, and science. These globalists must not merely be stripped of power, they must be eliminated from the future of human civilization and never allowed to rise to power again. And the second thing is, and this is the most important one, radically transform humanity into something it currently is not, a race of civilized, rational, compassionate, and informed beings who hold life to be sacred and can serve as ethical stewards of planetary resources. That's Neothink. There it is right there. We have to get Neothink out there. Otherwise, we will not save this planet. We will not save our own lives or our grandkids' lives or our kids' lives or anybody else that you hold dear. We will all be dead. So there is hope here, but we got to start moving on it. If we don't have a choice. None of us signed up here to be, to change the world. I didn't come here to change the world. I came here to change me. But that's the first step, is to change ourselves first.